Hello friends, welcome to a new video, and today I have something very exciting for you. I recently received a set of gouache paints sent to me by Chalkola, and this is a brand I worked with before. If you remember, I reviewed their acrylic set a couple years ago, and when they reached out with the opportunity to test out their gouache set, I was very excited because I always look for more affordable alternatives to expensive gouache sets, and hopefully the ones that still have great results, so that you don't have to spend a ton of money on your paints and you can still enjoy great paintings. And the things that I liked about this set right away is that this actually comes with quite a lot of supplies with it. You have 36 colors, you get paints. Actually, yes, you have a list here. So you have 10 brushes, a palette knife, a palette, and even a sponge. So that'll be interesting to create some texture with it. And basically the only other thing you'll need for it is just some paper and a jar of water, and you can start right away. And on the back of the box you can see the paint swatches with their names and pigment information and light fastness. And the thing that I like right away is that majority, that's probably like 70% of these, have single pigments in them, meaning they are able to deliver much cleaner, more predictable results when you mix them with different paints within the set. Because if you have a lot of pigments within one paint, it's kind of unpredictable what kind of results you're gonna get. It might deliver very muddy mixes, so I always like to have more original pigments in my paints. Another thing I like is that it has two whites. It has zinc white and titanium white. Zinc white is a little bit better for mixing when you're trying to lighten up your paint color, and titanium white is best when you just need to use it straight out of the tube. And a couple more things, that actually has 5 pearlescent colors. It has pearl white, rose gold, gold, silver, and bronze. So let's open it up and see what it looks like on the inside. So here we have the sponge. It's actually quite a dense sponge. I don't think this was meant for creating textures while you paint. I think this is more for just wiping your brush on it, just for absorbing some little extra water. Here is a palette. This is a plastic palette and a pretty standard design. There's a palette knife, which is good for mixing colors. Here we have a brush set that has a pretty nice variety. You had some larger flat brushes, thinner brushes, you have one fan brush, and here is a swatch card, so you can actually swatch the colors and see what they actually look like. I only wish that this would just have the similar information about the pigment that we saw on the back of the box, but this is actually pretty good as well. And this is a nice and solid paper, so it's actually gonna hold up to the weight of the gouache paint. And here are our colors, nicely organized into trays. Here we have our pearlescent colors. The only thing I'll probably do in this, I would reorganize them in my order. I just pretty much like the rainbow color order when I paint with my colors. But this is actually nice that you can just tuck them back inside and store it all in one place. Okay, let's start with swatching the colors first so we can see what we're working with, and then we're gonna do a very fun painting of the lily pond. I'm going to link the original picture that I found on unsplash.com in the description box so you can download it and paint it on your own, or you can just paint following me today and just follow the screen as we go. Okay, so here is a full swatch card all filled up, and as you can see, some of the colors are a little bit transparent. I added just a one strip with Sharpie to see how transparent the colors are. Majority of them are, especially the blues and the greens, are actually quite nice. The earth colors are all transparent. It's just a couple of the yellows and the reds, which is usually to be expected with these types of colors. Just a couple mix-ups in here. At first I saw there were two peach squares, which I guess figured out they forgot one for the turquoise blue, so I just put a turquoise in there. And another thing is that their box mentioned that they had violet and lilac. In my set that I received, there were two violets. And I thought maybe it was a mix-up with the printing on the tubes, but these colors are identical, and I even swatched them with a little bit more water and also with white, and these are exactly the same. So I don't know if this happens with the other sets, maybe just something was wrong with this set, but other than that, I'm very happy with these. You can see that they're drying up with a nice matte finish. I was hoping that they would, because this is just one quality of gouaches that I'm always looking forward to. And I think we're ready to start with some painting. Okay, so the colors I'm going to be using today are titanium white, zinc white, Naples yellow, mid yellow, crimson red, light green, deep green, sky blue, Prussian blue, cerulean blue, and Payne's gray. And I decided to opt it out for the palette that I'm just more used to, and it's the disposable sheet palette. You can use the one that comes with the set if you want to, if you're more used to this format. I just like to have a little bit more smooth mixing area so I can kind of go back and forth between different mixes. The paper I will be using is my sketchbook that I've been using for a while. It's natural mixed media paper. It has a nice mid-value beige color, and I've done quite a lot of paintings in there. I really enjoy this format. And for painting with gouache, I always recommend using at least the mixed media quality paper, which is this one is 250 GSM. I would say start with at least 110 pound paper, or just go with watercolor quality paper, which is 140 pound, because we still gonna be using water with our gouaches, and just to make sure it doesn't buckle, it can hold up the weight of the paint and just lead to a little bit more pleasing experience. This format is 6 by 8 inch. If you want, you can go with a little bit bigger one. I'm going to use smaller one for the sake of the video, so we don't spend too much time in here. I will be using a variety of brushes from the ones that came with the set. I will use this one, flat one, which is 5/8. I will also pick out a couple of medium-sized brushes, and these look like the same, almost the same ones, and I'll maybe just take out one more for a little detail. I usually end up picking up one brush and just finishing the rest of the painting with that brush, so don't be surprised if I don't even get to use all of these four. Alright, the original image that I will be painting from will be linked in the description box, so you can download it and paint along with me. I'm also going to pin it to the side, to the corner of the screen here, so you can just follow what you see on the screen and then download it and paint from it later if you need to add any touch-ups. I always like to tape the sides of the paper with the washi tape. It just gives a little bit of cleaner result, but this is an extra step that you don't have to do if you don't want to. I'm also gonna be using a jar of water and some paper towels for wiping my brush. And what else? And this is it. Oh, another useful thing to have close by is a spray bottle, and we can actually just go ahead and use it right now to make sure our paints stay wet just a little bit longer and workable. If you want, you can also use a blending medium by Winsor Newton. This is meant for watercolors, but doesn't have to be used just with watercolors. If you watched one of my previous videos, you've seen me creating my own gouache palette using this medium mixed with the paints to preserve them from drying up too quickly. You can take just a little dropper and just put a couple drops over your paints if you want to, and it's going to just give them a little bit more time and a little bit more smoother texture. Okay, let's start. Just going to rearrange a little bit my workstation so that I have water close by, and we're gonna start with creating water texture. I'm not sketching anything, just because I'm just gonna go ahead and create the texture of the water just by going in straight with the paint, and there is not really that much you can sketch in because I will be putting all of the water lilies on top of the water paint, so I don't think there's that much that you can do beforehand with sketching. But if you need a little bit more guidance, feel free to pause the video, look at the reference image, and put down some pencil marks if you need to. I am starting with a beautiful color, Prussian blue. I really like the depth of it. I'm going to also use a little bit of the Payne's Gray for the bottom part of the water. And I'm using just a little bit of water, so the paint is actually not runny, and it still has that pasty buttery consistency. As we go up the page, we see that the color of the water gets a little bit lighter because of the reflections that we see. So I'm going to start with a little bit of the cerulean blue color. And to paint the waves, I will just blend softly a little bit of the darker color in there. and just go back and forth with your color to have a bit more softer transition from darker to lighter colors. I'm putting a little bit of the sky blue in there as well. Now that we're moving up, we have larger areas of lighter color, but I'm still using some Prussian blue from the previous mixes. I'm using Prussian blue for the darker shading on the waves. I'm putting more sky blue now, since we're moving up and we're seeing more of the sky reflections in that area. But remember that gouache dries lighter, so don't go too light. The darks still tend to lighten up a little bit. Now we'll use just a little bit of zinc white. As for a couple of lighter spots that we see on the water. A little bit of light reflecting there. And I just want to go over the bottom area one more time to slightly darken this area and give it a bit more depth. Just a little bit more shading to a couple of areas where we see the waves. Just lightly brushing it over very light, soft marks. Okay, our water is ready. And I'm actually going to start from the top of the page and work my way down with the lilies and the lily pods. I'm going to use this medium-sized brush for these. And we see a mix of warmer and cooler greens, but in the distance they are mainly a little bit softer, cooler greens. So I'm going to start with the mix of what is it, light green and a deep green that I'm using, and I'm actually going to mix it into the blue that I have here with a little bit of zinc white. Actually, we can give them just a little bit more warmth and lightness. A little bit more Naples yellow and some more zinc white. Just a little bit of titanium white as well. Titanium white just gives a little bit more opaqueness. That is looking better. They do have quite a lot of variations with a little bit of kind of a crimson color in them and yellowness. We're going to add that soon. Remember that the lilies that are farther away from you will appear sort of a flat because of the perspective. So don't paint them very round. It would just look a little bit off. And I'm not really looking precisely at the reference image. I am composing my own arrangement and just kind of looking at it for some inspiration. But there is kind of that motion that you can see in a painting when they start a little bit more clustered in a top right corner, and then they move sort of to the center on the left side and then going down again to the right side. So that helps a little bit with kind of keeping an interesting design when you have a bit of emotion in there, so they're not all just sitting in one spot. Okay, I'm starting to make a couple more with a bit more of a yellow tone. They add very interesting notes. I'm kind of jumping around right now, just because I want to see how this design is going to look with just adding some yellow now. So kind of moved down a little bit. But I'm going back to the green now. Now the ones at the bottom of the page and sort of the ones that are closer to us are now going to be more round, just because we can see their shape a little better from up close. They are not distorted by the distance. Now I want to start working on a couple more accents. So I'm going to pick up a smaller brush now and add a couple more of the orange yellow lily pads that are kind of hiding underneath the other ones, so that they don't have like their full shape showing, or that are just working as a little pieces in there where we don't see a full pod in there. I think I missed one in here. And now I can just start giving them a little bit of texture, a couple of interesting spots on them. We also see a little bit of crimson color in there as well. I will mix my crimson with a little bit of green, just to give them a little bit of that burgundy color. There are some almost purple ones in here. We can mix some sky blue and crimson. And also to use this crimson and green mix as a couple of details on our lily pods. What we can do is that we can take another flat brush, kind of rub it on the paper towel just to spread the bristles a little bit, and pick up some paint just by dabbing on it, so that we have a bit of a kind of a spread out bristles in there, and just brush on a little bit of paint for interesting texture. I'm also going to make a bit more of a orangey color now with the crimson and mid yellow, just to give a couple of orange details and speckles here and there. with this thin brush, I will pick up a little bit of Payne's Gray and some of the Prussian blue that I had in my palette, just to raise our lily pads off of the surface of the water a little bit and give them a little bit of texture. I will give a couple of outlines to the sides just to give them a little bit of shading, like there are kind of have a raised edge. It doesn't have to be a continuous outline. You can break it up in some areas, maybe somewhere it's lifted a little higher than in the other areas. And you can also use this to give the outline to any areas where they're overlapping. I forgot a couple in distance here. I'm actually going to take one even smaller brush for this. Just adding a couple more of brighter reddish accents. To some of the pots, just to bring out a little bit of the color. Okay, if we look closer at the picture, we see there are stems through the surface of the water that kind of hold them. And they are sort of a mix of a little bit of crimson and the color of the water, since we've seen them through the water. So I'm just adding a little bit of crimson to Prussian blue and Payne's gray. Just maybe a little bit of white in some areas. I'm just imagining a couple more in there. Maybe we don't see all of them, but they sort of tangled up together in the water. I don't want to add too much so that it's not too distracting, just a little bit in this corner. Okay, and now we can add in the flowers, the white flowers. The most exciting part, I'm going to be using titanium white for them, because titanium is more opaque. And the ones that are closer to us are a bit more open. We actually see the yellow part on the inside. And I will think I'll put the other one just a little bit off to the side here. This one on the bottom also had a green leaf detail. So I'm going to just pick up a little bit of warm green color. I'll just add it on the top and just put maybe a couple of leaves around this one. And some mid yellow with the details on the inside. Put here. And I would actually add just one more over here. Just going over them with a bit more white to build up some texture and create some more opaque petals, sort of overlapping the others. But overall, I think we're almost done. I think I can add just a couple very light green details with just a little bit of sky blue, titanium white, and some of the green that we had already mixed, just to add a bit more texture to the lily pods. We added some shadow, but we can also add a couple of highlights where they would sort of be reflecting the light on their edges. And the same for the other colors. And where we have some of the crimson. I think as the last touch we can add just a couple more of lighter details to the water. Making a bit of a darker color for the reflections that we see closer to us. Just added a little bit more texture to the surface of the water. And just a couple more darker accents in the area where I missed them. And I think we're done. Let's remove the masking tape. And here is our fun little lily pod painting. I hope you enjoyed painting with me. Let me know if you have any ideas or requests for further paintings with this gouache set. I personally really enjoyed it. I think it does have a great potential with a large variety of colors, good quality paints. These were easy to work with. All of the mixes came out really nice and clean with vibrant colors, and I think I'll be enjoying working with this in the future again. So let me know if you have any questions, tag me. If you tried this painting along with me, you can tag me on Instagram or send me an email. I will be looking forward to seeing your paintings as well. And thank you for watching this video. Give it a like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!